But it's ordered.
Meeting will come to order, please. Johanna, would you read the statements, please?
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual meeting notice was sent to the Atlantic City Press, Star Ledger, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, the municipal website, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk. Please turn off electronic devices. Welcome to the City of Margate's Capital Workshop meeting for December 3rd, 2020. This meeting is being done in person in the Commission Chamber and via teleconferencing, in compliance with the Division of Local Government Service Regulations. Before we begin, the procedure for this meeting is as follows. All visitors to the meeting connected via teleconferencing will be muted until participation on items discussed. Once the participation session begins, all visitors will be unmuted. Visitors in the chambers will have the opportunity to speak first, followed by visitors connected via teleconferencing. When instructed, please announce your name, address, and wait for the moderator to recognize you before you begin speaking. Each participation session will be 3 minutes in length, and you will be notified when your time has expired. When the public participation session completes, all teleconferencing visitors will be muted again.
Thank you, Johanna. Let's all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Mayor Becker,
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Here?
Commissioner Blumberg.
I am here.
Oh, the item for discussion, number one is engineering. Ed, are you ready for that?
I am ready.
Go for it.
Okay. Item number A on the report is our dredging program. I did send over 2 proposals to Rich and Lisa, which were then shared with Roger and Scott, and I believe the commissioners. The 2 proposals was one for the citywide permit, dredging permit, and the other proposal was to finish out our portion of the work on the Shelter Island disposal site. This is based on the recommendation of the dredging committee, which is to move forward with a citywide dredging permit identifying Dredge Hole 86 as the primary disposal site and continuing with the Shelter Island disposal site for potential future capacity and as an alternative disposal site. So those proposals are being reviewed. There's also other entities that will be involved in this process, namely Stockton University, who's doing some of the investigations and sampling. So I know Roger's pulling it all together, so we have an idea of what we're looking at budget-wise in 2021 and beyond. That's my update on dredging, unless anyone else wants to.
I do have a question.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Mayor, may I?
You may.
On the citywide permit, Ed, is there a sunset on that, or is that for in perpetuity?
I believe it's a 5-year permit and then a 5-year extension. Does that sound right?
That's how I understand. DEP permit's 5 years, Army Corps is 10.
Right. So
So-
the DEP's a 5, and then you can get a 5. So
So-
it'll be a 10-year window.
If our dredging program goes beyond that 10 years, then we have to go back and refile for another permit. Is that
Right.
true?
I believe so. Yep.
So I only have one suggestion, is that we should sit down and really put a timeline together, because there's probably going to be future commissions involved in the decision, that maybe it doesn't pay to go if it's going to be beyond a 10-year period, and then we have to start from zero again. You understand what I'm saying?
Do you mean as far as the entire city, permitting the entire city?
Yeah,
I'd like to make a point.
sure.
I don't, unless Ed sees otherwise, or Roger sees otherwise, I don't think it really costs us much more on our permitting application point to do the initial application. Your point, I think, is it'll run out, but you're not starting from scratch when you go to put another permit. I know I've had some discussions with Stu Farrell about this, because I agree with you. I envision it probably gonna take 10 years
Or more.
or more, because it's a lot of money. You're not gonna do it all at one time. Now, as I understand it, there's even been some discussion where the state would loosen that up so that 5 years, a lot of these towns, they're not gonna hold them to 5 years. It'll give them more time. But my goal, one of our objectives was always to include the whole city so that no one felt they were being left out or they were second fiddle, if you follow me. So we would include everybody. And in fact, I'm gonna make sure that we're including even the adjoining private property docks. We're not gonna pay for their dredging, but we wanna make sure, as they allowed in Avalon and Ocean City, allow those folks to jump on.
Participate.
Right. You're well aware of that, and you know that, you agree with it, so, but, I think if we start to say, well, we'll just do this section versus that section, it weakens our overall appeal to the public. And you'll have some people upset that, well, why were we excluded and they weren't? Yeah, I'd like to see it stay the whole citywide, one shot. And who knows, we might be able to raise some money.
At the cost of dredging, I don't see how we're gonna be able to do it in a 10-year period.
I
Okay,
don't even
but-
believe we're gonna do all of it, ever. Like, for instance, there's gonna be some spots where we're not gonna dredge, but they're gonna cut us back, and they're gonna say, like, for instance, the log cabin. They're never gonna let us do that whole area, we couldn't afford to do it. What our game plan is, a channel running over from Swifts and around, and if they'd let us take it all the way around. That's
What,
the
can I make a
goal.
suggestion? Why don't we get the information before we sit here and talk, and then we'll make a decision?
Okay, all right, well,
Okay.
all right.
Rich, I'm sorry, didn't-
No, I pretty much was gonna say that, what you were gonna say, because when I got the proposals, I copied everybody, I asked by January 8th for everybody to get together and have a long range, to put all these questions into a single report, and then we would make that decision at that time. In other words, we're not even gonna give a purchase order or anything at this point. We don't have the money till 2022, 2021 anyhow. So we have the month or more, it would take more, but I don't think it should, to basically answer Commissioner Amadeo's question. And to your point as well, and you're part of the report, so. I think we'll have the information by January 8th or shortly thereafter, then we'll make a decision whether to award the contracts to Remington and Vernon.
that's a good idea, I'm glad you thought of it, Rich.
Well, we need to know what other money, I mean, it's
Right.
great, I can
Yeah.
give a contract to Remington and
No
Vernon, but then,
question.
we forgot about this 100,000 over there and this 100,000, so. That's all we're trying to do, is find out.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Thank-
just to put a bow on it, to Scott's point, there's the level of effort from a permitting standpoint, whether it's citywide or half the city, is relatively the same. Where you're gonna have some additional costs is in the sampling, larger of an area, the more sampling you need to do. Those are the types of things we need to look at.
Okay, carry on, Ed.
Item B, Ventnor Avenue, Washington Avenue Streetscape. So this project has been sitting over at the county engineer's office, waiting for them to react to some of our comments in response to their comments. They had wanted us to revise our plans to eliminate parking in front of Old City Hall on Washington Avenue. We told them that that was a no-go. Finally was able to get the county engineer and the director of planning on a conference call on the 19th of November. They understood our concerns, and on that phone call, they agreed to go along with the plans that we had, which would keep the parking out front of this building. At this point, all we're waiting for is something in writing to that effect. I followed up with the county engineer this week with an email. Once we have that, we can finish up the plans and we can bid the project and see what the prices come in at. And again, this project has been de-scoped significantly from what I think was originally budgeted for it, so.
Okay. The only question I have is, and we're gonna have a discussion at the end of this capital meeting about all of our capital projects that are now, so that we can make a decision relative to canceling some ordinances at the next meeting. But the single question relative to this $150,000, is there still money, do you know, available? Okay,
So that's what you need is 150?
approximately, if I remember.
There's a $150,000 grant. What I just made a note on is, Lisa, I'll get you the updated cost estimate
Yeah.
based on this reduced project. I did not include that in the capital list because it was in the previous year's capital list, so I'll look at that.
Yeah, all right. We're ready to go to bid if we have the money. If we don't
Okay.
have the money, then we're not ready to go to bid. But
Okay.
you can check with Lisa on that.
Very good. Item C is GIS mapping. I believe that there's an ordinance on for introduction at the next meeting to adopt an ordinance for the requiring of GIS data from private developers. We discussed this at the past couple meetings. This would just take existing GIS data that a developer may have if they're doing a waterfront project and turning that in when they do their project application so we can incorporate that data into our GIS database. So again, that's an item on the agenda today. Item D is the floodproofing project at this building. There's no update here. We did submit our request for the additional funding back when we received bids. And we do have an extension from the low bidder on their bid price through December 23rd. So we have been following up on a regular basis. We need to hear back from FEMA on confirmation that they will fund the overage based on the bid price that came in. So we will keep following up on that. The Atlantic Avenue Road Diet. So a lot of activity between the last meeting and today. We have our virtual public presentation scheduled for December 15th at 1:30 p.m. and December 16th at 6 p.m. Again, those will both be virtual presentations. There's been significant amount of activity on public outreach. There's a mailer going out today. I think there's robocall, social media, press release. I've had a couple people from the local media and news reach out to me, and I've provided some information to them. So to Commissioner Blumberg's point, at the last meeting, we ramped up the outreach efforts, and hopefully we get a good turnout and participation for these two meetings. I'll be meeting with city staff next week to go over the presentation itself and to make sure we're all prepared and on the same page for the public presentation.
Fred, is it going to orientate out of this room?
Ted's,
It's all virtual,
it's all virtual,
so
so he could do it from his office.
I was going to do it from my office.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be here.
Yep.
I don't have anything to do with it either.
Right.
Famous last words.
Sure. Mayor?
Yes, you may.
On the road diet, my question to the commissioners and to you, in answer to a question that Lisa asked me today, is when, if in fact we decide to go forward with this, how does the time period work, and when do we need the money is ultimately the question.
Well, 11/30 is the deadline, 2021,
Right.
to get approval, to finalize with the state.
That's to award, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's two different timelines that could play out here. One would be if we reach a decision very quickly after these meetings to move forward with the project. There is a timeline that works where we can get the project out to bid, awarded, and again, we're talking about a striping project here, so it's not a very heavy lift from a construction standpoint, and have it striped before Memorial Day. The other timeline would have us bidding the project in the summertime, getting everything under contract so that shortly after Labor Day, at that point, we would be proceeding with construction, but the actual contract award would be sometime in the summer. So those are the two scenarios that would, from a funding standpoint.
Okay, so say we go with the first option, what would the soonest be that we would be awarding a contract?
So-
March, probably?
So I had sent Rich those two scheduled timelines, I'll forward it over to you. It laid them out on when we would be awarding the contract.
Okay, but you still have to go out to bid,
Yeah, it had
right?
the bid period.
So realistically, it's probably around March when you would be awarding it, or thereafter?
I would say March, yeah, around March. I had it all laid out, I'll forward the
Okay.
schedule to you.
And timeline shouldn't be any more than 2 weeks to
That's
do the
it.
project.
That's exactly what we figured on. Okay.
That comes down to whether the money's.
No, I get
next
what
budget or
Lisa's
this
point of
budget.
view
We're
is.
probably gonna do a capital ordinance in late February, early March, so right at that
Yeah,
time
so
period,
that could be
so
funded in 2021, basically,
It looks like it can be.
yeah.
I know we have a significant grant. Ed, what would be your guesstimate of the total cost of the project? What would the city be responsible?
All in,
Yes.
soft costs and construction, right around 400,000.
Okay.
And again, that, about 60,000 of that has already been encumbered for the work that we've done so far with the
Right.
traffic study, and the design that we will be doing. Okay. Item F is the Adams Avenue Stormwater Pump Station. We've given Jim Rotella everything he needs for his grant application. I saw an email this morning or yesterday from Jim that he had submitted a draft grant application to FEMA, and he had some follow-up questions that he sent over. I began to answer them, I just had to respond, but it looks like that grant application has been submitted. It's in a draft form, so he can add to it as I give him some more information, but that is an application to fund the pump station project, and we have a soft commitment from the county that they would be willing to participate up to their proportion of how they would benefit from the project. So if we're able to assemble this funding from FEMA, potentially we could have the match from the county and get the project done that way. So,
But that was one of his questions in
Yep.
terms of, so that's an important one to
Yep.
answer, and you'll be able to answer that.
yep, because this came up last year, and we actually did an analysis for the county to show them that
Right.
of the project, 30% of the benefits were related to the county. And if we were to get the FEMA funding, you only need a 25% match, so it'll work out well. Okay. Item G is a 2021 task. This is an assessment report that we need to prepare in accordance with the asset management plan that we did in 2019. Item H is the Benson Avenue Water Tank interior painting. We rebid this project. The bids came in lower than the original bids. And there is a award of contract on the agenda today to award the project to Allied Painting for $550,225.
I'd like to just pause there and, congratulate Ed and Commissioner Amadeo. We had a discussion on the phone on a Friday night about what we were to do there. We had problems with the first bid, and we ended up better than we could have expected.
It worked out well. So that project's gonna get awarded, and we'll get moving on that job. Under miscellaneous, the only update here is that the police station sewer repair work is done, and I understand everything went great and in record time. So that's good.
Still.
Yep, there you go. All right, moving into the construction list. No updates on the maintenance bonds, we're all caught up there. Safe Routes to School closeout, we've issued final payment to the contractor, so at this point, everything's been sent into DOT. All we're waiting for is for them to concur with the closeout and issue the final reimbursement to the city. Hopefully this one is off the list in the next couple weeks if we get the approval from DOT. Item L is the previous phase of Atlantic Avenue. The contractor is working on some of the punch list work out there. I met with Commissioner Blumberg out there before this meeting to review some of the settlement out there, and we have, since the last meeting, identified some additional settlement areas. I actually had my guys go out there after all that rain we got, so it was really easy to spot the areas that had settled, water laying in them. So we put that on the list for the contractor for them to come in, do some investigative work, and address the areas that have settled. Item M is Bay Shore Drive West. That project is moving along, and so far, it's been going well. We have an inspector out there who's been working really well with the residents on that street. The water main installation is complete except for the services. They're now working on the sewer installation. So, again, it's a tough project. We spent some time reconfiguring how we were gonna go about doing this job, and it seems to be working. The residents seem to be working with us out there, so we'll continue on that trajectory and hopefully get the work done and buttoned up before the weather gets bad. So that job's moving along. Amherst Avenue bulkhead is only on the list because there's a little bit of electrical work that needs to be coordinated with the Promenade project. Item O is the current phase of Atlantic Avenue. Really no update of substance here other than the work continues to progress. The contractor did pull off the job site last week, which resulted in some of the issues that you pointed out, Rich. I let my guys know and they addressed it with the contractor. Some of the areas of the road that were in rough shape weren't paved. They needed to be paved up, boxed out and paved. So those items are being addressed. But that project is moving along. And again, this will also factor into the road diet. We obviously need this road paved before we can put the road on a diet. So that will factor into the award timeline as well. Item P is well 10, which is done. So we're closing it out. Well's back in service. That job was a success. I mentioned at the last meeting, we saved a significant amount of money on items that were optional that we didn't end up needing on this project. So that's great news for the city. Item Q is Argyle Avenue, which is also substantially complete. All that's left there is a little bit of punch list work, and the electric company has to come in and install some new conductors and some of the new conduit that was installed as part of that project. And we're coordinating that with Bill Edwards from the electric company. Item R, Amherst Avenue Phase 1, contractors on site. They did run into some utility conflicts with the gas company. So we're working through that. They're doing some test pits out there, but that project is mobilized and in progress. Item S is curb and gutter. The contractor finally mobilized this week. So they're proceeding. There was an area that they were working on where they shouldn't have been working of gutter. It was one of the alternate bids that we didn't award. So they have to put back what they took out. So we got some free gutter out of that. But other than that, we're off and running.
The inspector kind of just took a ride for a while.
Sure, he saw them doing it, and he said, I'll just go to Wawa and let them keep going. So that job is in progress with a completion date of January 20th. And then, last but certainly not least, the Promenade project. We had our pre-construction meeting the day before Thanksgiving, or Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Notice to proceed was issued effective this Monday. Completion date is March 30th. Contractors out there, the fencing is up. There, at the pre-construction meeting, there was some discussion about concerns with materials being delivered, but even with the schedule that they submitted that had some longer lead times and some of that material, it still had them finishing before Memorial Day. So what we said to them was, before we would approve any kind of an extension for materials, we want you to exhaust all options, all suppliers. You know, it needs to be demonstrated that they have done everything they can to expedite deliveries, whatever that might be. And that was explicit in the bid documents, which is if they had to pay any kind of premiums for expediting materials, that it all needs to be within their bid price. But they have mobilized and that project is in progress. And that's my report.
Okay, any questions for Ed? Mike? Doug?
One question for Ed. Ed, I have a question about the transformer that exists, that is the power supply, that's been the power supply to Lamberti's docks and the former restaurant. There's a lot of settlement, and I guess it's due to prior construction, I guess when we did the bulkhead. And we're gonna be repaving that whole area eventually, and I'm dreaming that we're gonna be repaved sometime in the end of April or beginning of May. And I don't want an obstacle, and I know Calvi has the contract for this phase also, which is good, but shouldn't somebody coordinate? Can we have a meeting and coordinate with the electric company that when the time comes, the work that has to be done on that is done prior to
Paving, right?
our paving?
Yep, will do.
You can notify the electric company and just see if they have any information on it as to what they plan to do? Because I don't think, on the Lamberti side, I think they just think it exists and they can tie back into it, but I think there needs to be some work done there.
I have taken a note and I'll follow up.
Have you seen it?
I have not, no, I didn't see it yet.
It's on a
Stopped out there.
pretty good
Okay,
10, 15 degree angle.
okay. I'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any last chance in for Ed? Anybody want to throw any more darts? Okay, thank you, Ed. Good job as usual. Anything else? Rich, do you have anything at this point?
No, but I think Jim has a report to make to all of us.
I don't see that on the agenda, so, but, all right, we'll let you speak, Jim. It's okay.
Thank you. I brought Roger along. We're going to answer some questions if you guys have anything. I'm going to read this short summary. The early warning systems are to serve to assist the communities with problems experienced from flood, hurricanes, tornadoes, and thunderstorms, lightning, high winds, as well as other priority hazards. With the sufficient warning of flood, our community or residents can take protective measures such as moving personal property, cars, people out of the harm's way. When a flood threat recognition system is combined with an emergency response plan that addresses our community's flood problems, considerable flood damage can be prevented. Audible outdoor warning systems are used for public safety agencies to alert people about natural man-made hazards such as extreme weather conditions, flooding, nuclear accidents, chemical spills. Sirens are the most widely used sound-making device for inclusion in the audible outdoor warning system. Sirens generate sound through mechanical, mechanical, or electronic means and can provide audible signals ranging from tones of varying pitch, frequency, and duration to pre-recorded live or voice messages. With the emergency alert system, our municipality will be able to communicate with important messages to the public with warnings regarding dangerous impending weather or other emergency conditions. So I brought Chuck along, Mr. LeBar, he's our OEM. He would probably be operating the system, is that right, Fred? In Fred's second floor office. It's just a computer, it's a modem, it's not a lot of electric equipment. It's just a little short stubby antenna, we put it on the roof of City Hall. And then if you get the okay to go into this co-op, we can move forward with bidding, going out to bid. We need 2 qualified bids to secure the equipment, and then 2 qualified bids to do the installation. Go through the pamphlet. We did a comprehensive. Any questions about locations or height of poles or sirens or anything?
Marty, John, anybody?
No, I think,
Yeah, good.
I might have a quick question.
Go ahead.
In the packet, there's a letter from Sylvia Haystreet to the mayor talking about the total cost of the project being $102,867, 70% federal share and 25% non-federal share. So those figures are their estimate of what it is that you think we're going to be bidding?
No, that dollar amount was what we figured when we first went out and tried to seek bids to do the installation. They were high. Subsequently, we went back out and found another vendor. It came in relatively a lot cheaper. So we're probably going to save a couple more dollars on our cost share. Did I answer your question?
No.
Okay.
So what is, I thought when you presented last meeting that this wasn't costing us anything.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, so I misunderstood. Did I misunderstand? There is a cost for us to do this.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe I was thinking about something else. So what is that cost?
Well, we're not sure till
We don't know yet.
till we get
But
the
it's,
bid.
so we think it's something less than 102,000.
it's probably less than 102,000, but our shared cost would be 25% of that total cost.
Yeah, and Maury, it was appropriated in this year's budget, so the funds are already available.
Okay. Got it. I apologize.
So we're basically looking at the cost to the city taxpayers is roughly around $25,000. And I think it's an important key being on a barrier island, and it does help towards our flood rating. So all these things that Jimmy's been trying to do as our floodplain manager is reduce the cost of flood insurance to all our residents. And right now, we're at 25% reduction, and hopefully we can get in the near future to 30% reduction in homeowners' flood insurance.
Absolutely.
This is all part of, the process.
I agree.
I mean,
Good job, Jim.
It was
Thank
so
you.
important, the government handed us a check for almost 100,000, or no, 75,000, so that was pretty good, I thought.
Thank you, Jim.
Chuck the stuff forward, just, say hi to everybody?
I might ask, since Chuck is here, we did discuss, again, last meeting, the testing of this equipment. Is it mandatory that we test it on a regular basis? And what, just tell us again what that is,
It's two,
that these sirens are gonna be tested and going off
twice a year. 30
twice a year.
seconds. Pretty sure that's it, twice a year,
Okay.
it's 30 seconds, just a tone, a voice, and that's it.
And the first time that we do it, the people are all gonna have your home phone number?
My cell phone,
We'll give 'em-
give
Well-
my cell phone,
The only suggestion I would have is we do it at noontime,
that's it. That's what we
designated
normally-
time, 12 o'clock.
Okay.
That's what time Longport usually does that.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't I remember we used to have that when we were kids, didn't we?
Yeah, we had something, yeah.
I know
There was an air raid.
Right.
World War II already. All right.
Russians, if the Russians are. I guess that's very good.
Okay.
All right, wait a minute.
Commissioner Blumberg, I just discussed with Jimmy, but I already looked into some of the municipalities that do have a similar system and how they test. To inform the residents ahead of time to just blasting it out there, you can do a robocall, just
Good.
preparing them.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Fred, I'm making work for you.
Fred's gonna do it.
Fred will do it. He loves to talk. All right, let's go to department head reports, and why don't we start over here? Johanna, I've been ignoring you. Anything going on in your office?
We finally got the 1239s to approve the pocket liquor licenses, and that's on the agenda today.
I saw that.
We're moving ahead with all our contracts. I think the department heads that still have contracts that need to be renewed should get working on it, since there's only one meeting left in this year. So that's it.
Time flies. Thank you, Johanna. Lisa?
Yes, two things. One is to go back to capital. I have one other question from a financing and timeline perspective, which is Station 2. So given what Ed had indicated about the road diet, it seems like in any event, the earliest that we would be awarding this is March of next year. So, okay, so that can be funded next year, which means that what was appropriated in 2020 capital, those funds could be freed up and reallocated for Station 2 renovations. Because Station 2, we did appropriate a few $100,000 for those renovations. I know that the architect's been working on that. So I just need to know if everyone is good with that, what is the timeline for that? And if there's a final cost, I know the cost exceeds the 200, but we could reallocate the other funds, so there should be sufficient funding available for that.
Wrong one. Mayor, if I may.
You may, Dad.
We have been working directly with the Peter Weiss, the architect, and I have spoken also with Ed Dennis and Roger McLaren, and we've been working all together. We were just waiting on the funding. Once we found out the funding was available, then we can get the timeline together to get the project out to bid. At this point, the sooner we can get everything together and get it out to bid, the better we are, then we can break ground and start moving forward.
Okay, well, you have the funding.
Are we good?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
Is that what you wanted to hear, Nan?
That's what we wanted to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything else, Lisa?
Yeah, the only other
Le-
thing,
You gotta thank Lisa.
the only other thing that I just want to report publicly, as you know, we had our bond anticipation note sale a few days ago. We issued 9.7 million in notes to temporarily fund projects that had been, authorized previously. The notes are for 1 year, and we had excellent results. TD was the winner. We had 3 bids that came in. We have a premium of $55,581, which we can use to help pay back the interest, which will come due next year. There's a coupon rate of 1%, but given that we have the premium, there's a net interest cost of like 0.425%, which is excellent. So, it's very inexpensive to borrow money right now. The timing was good. Margate got a rate that's better than expected because of our, excellent bond rating, and everything, about the city. So, we're in good shape. We close on December 17th, so I have the account all set up to receive the funds, and then we could start paying it again.
Good job.
Good
doing
job.
Joel.
Good job as always, Lisa.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thanks for the report. Rich, you have anything?
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I have no other questions.
Yes, I do. On the capital portion that we're talking about, we just talked, we settled a lot of things here in terms of the road diet. We settled things relative to the fire department. We have money also available that we had budgeted, and our recreation department is ready to go with refurbishing playgrounds. We talked about it at the last meeting. I just want to let you know that that project is one of the last projects for this year that's funded. It's going to be ready for the springtime, and Commissioner Blumberg has also gotten involved in that, and I think you're okay with the plans, as you had some questions after the
Yep,
presentation.
and Andrew answered them. Andrew went out and did a little more research, talked to some additional members in the community across all demographics. We wanted to make sure that what we were talking about for the area on Edgemar was good for everybody. He did that to my satisfaction and to his as well. So we're going to have, and he was here and told us a little bit about what he was going to be doing there. There's going to be some bocce courts. There's going to be some outdoor gaming tables. He's planning on, a nice area for kids and folks of all ages to come out and recreate. So I was good with that portion of the project, was what was open. The other portion of that project is a Lucy-themed playground, which is really going to upgrade the stock that we have of playground equipment in the city. So yeah, thank you, Rich.
My grandson's gonna love it.
So those are two or three major projects still underway from the funding, in addition to the ones that Ed talked about. All of you know that we've removed the flooring in the hallway of the 9001 building, thanks to Fred and Roger and Bob especially, who spent the weekend there. So now we have to figure out what we're doing with that floor going forward. So that's kind of in the works as well. I mean, it's going to be done in the next few weeks.
Are we gonna tie that floor into whatever we're doing with the rest of the building as we go forward?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, cool.
So that's kind of where we are with projects, in addition to Ed's, as far as I can recall. So, all right, on the next meeting agenda, there are a series of contracts, awards, which are annual contracts that you have on your agenda. The one that's a specific contract that I want to speak about is the labor agreement that with the Municipal Employees Association. They came to me in the summer and said that they essentially just wanted to extend the existing contract. In principle, we agreed, but agreed also that during 2021, we would look carefully at all of the provisions for a multi-year contract going forward beyond 2021. But at the same time that we are essentially just extending the existing contract, we did change the wording in a number of areas to clarify the meaning and to clean it up, because it was ancient wording, and it helped dramatically, will help our finance department in interpreting some of the provisions. So I want to thank Lisa for spending a lot of time on that, and Zach Berna, who's the president of the association, for working with us. It worked quite well. So the contract's on the agenda. There's a 2.5% increase. The rest of it is essentially the same. There's some wording changes with the CDL, which was a concern from some of the members of the association. It has been for several years. As you recall, a month ago or so, you adopted a 46-page CDL policy only because the United States government requires us to do that, as if we were a long-distance hauler. But we have, I think, 3 CDL drivers, one of which is Pat Power at the end down here, and we have a reduced number of CDL required equipment from what we've had in the past. And so we have a 2-pronged approach, making sure that we have trained CDL drivers and adhere to all these federal regulations, which are very, very strict, which discourages people from really wanting to be CDL drivers, to be honest with you. So the 2-pronged approach is reducing the amount of equipment that we have that requires CDL drivers, and then making sure that the people that we do have are compensated properly and are satisfied. So there's no change in the compensation in this particular contract, but there was change in the wording relative to who has to get a CDL license. So I think everybody's happy at this point, so I just wanted to point that out to you. Other than that, the rest is fairly normal things that are on the agenda.
Anything else, Rich?
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Fred?
I'm not saying anything because I always get more work when I do, so everything's great. Everything's great, Mayor.
He's very busy, Fred is, very busy.
He is very busy.
What are you trying to say, Fred? No, I'm
Trying to say I love it here.
We love you, Fred.
Pat?
That's one.
Mayor, everything's good in the Public Works Department, but I'd like to say that we finally took delivery of our new Ford F450 crew cab truck last week. So took a while, but we finally got it. Other than that, everything's good.
Good. Thank you guys for always being there for me too, Pat. I appreciate it. Scott?
Nothing under capital.
Well, this is your last chance. I'm not going real long.
Don't give him a second
Give
chance, Mayor. Don't give him a second
Not a
chance.
second chance?
Now that you bring that up, just if you had a question about that termination of declaration of covenant restrictions, that's 233 resolution. But that doesn't apply to anything. A house was never built. It was to stop people from parking their car, blocking the walkway. There's really no point to have that of record.
Okay,
That's
good.
it. That's all.
Thanks, Scott. Dan?
Yeah, Mayor, just a few things. One, with the holiday season upon us, we need to make sure that everybody's paying attention, especially there's a lot more cooking going on. Make sure your surfaces are clean, make sure your ovens are clean, make sure you're paying attention. 2, holiday lighting, make sure it's proper, make sure you have proper extension cords and wiring is good. And 3, and most importantly with the holiday, is anybody with a live Christmas tree. I just saw something today, and it's something we have to reiterate over and over and over. Make sure it's watered constantly. And otherwise, we'll post the video again like we did last year, and I think we watched it here one year. It takes seconds for that Christmas tree to engulf an entire room, so just please heed the warnings and be safe during the holiday season. Two, I want to thank Lisa. We've been working together on that CARES Act, and we spent a lot of time on Wednesday or Tuesday, whatever, to try and get all of the purchase orders together and everything else. That is a guaranteed $74,000 back for the city of Margate, and that's a bonus. Anything we can get back is always good. And, you know, we've been working hand in hand on that, and I think I have carpal tunnel now from all the
I know.
typing, but I think we're good.
And it was finally submitted today, so you know.
We are working with Fred in the fire department on upgrading our fire department software. We kind of run into a bind with our fire reporting system, and we have no choice but to upgrade it. And we're working actually with a vendor that bought out the company of the previous fire reporting system. So all of our data and all of our stuff should be able to be easily transferred, and we won't lose any of our reporting that dates back to the 90s with the fire incident reports. So just part of the requirement, but with that, we're going to change our EMS reporting over to that system as well, and they're going to be able to bring the data, because we've only been 2 years doing our EMS reporting in a different type of system, so they'll be able to bring that data over and provide it to us. Lastly, I have 2 questions I wanted to ask. One is fireworks. Are we going to move forward and have them on December 31st or not? And if we
Listen,
are,
I wanted them the last time, and
if we
I
are,
got shot down,
we were
so.
looking at 6:45 or 7 o'clock to make it a family-oriented event that can be used as an after-dinner or before-dinner type activity, because it's going to be dark by 5 o'clock, so we can do the fireworks a lot earlier. We don't have to have them at 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock. We can have them early. So I got a text from the fireworks people. I got an email from Lisa today. We need to make a decision if we're doing it or not, and I'm going to put that to the 3 of you and advise me
Well,
how to proceed.
You and I already had this conversation, you know that I support that, so,
Okay.
you know, Marty.
I as well.
Okay.
It's just as far as where are they gonna stage? Where would would they stage on the beach
It's
again?
gonna be the easiest to do it where we've always done it, right in front of the senior citizen pavilion. The only thing we'd need is to set up a berm before, but we have so much beach there that it's not really an issue or a problem. And then access to the area, which they asked for the day before to set the racks up, which I don't think that's been a problem in the past, so if we could do that again. So, all right, I'm gonna move forward. I'll move forward with Lisa with the purchase order and make that happen. Lastly, I've been working with Brian Duffy of the FMBA Local 41. Because we can't have our lunch with Santa, because our holiday party thing with the PVA got canceled as well, we were wondering if the city would be okay if the fire department, just like we just did this past weekend for the NBA, put Santa in a lifeguard boat and on 4 different nights went around the different sections of town, which we would put mapped out in public release.
Perfect,
So if you're good with that,
I'm good with it.
we'll move forward with that as well. Okay,
Good
that's all I
job.
have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Lifeguard
Marty?
boat.
Yes,
That's why we're lower, not on top of the truck. We put him in a lifeguard boat.
the,
Can't hit his head.
before
Yes.
we dismiss you, I am all about notification, so is there a way that we can get out to the public that we're doing these fireworks?
I'll take care of that.
So,
We'll do a NORAD, in-house NORAD call from the North Pole.
Well, no, he's talking about the fireworks.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
talking about
okay.
the fire-
Well,
well,
I'm
I'm
saying
sure that
The other
too.
we could do too.
Maybe.
Fred, can you help us out on this here?
And
Fred,
maybe
you wanna run the
notification to the schools, maybe a
let
note
them
goes
do
out
it.
to the schools to let them know that we're gonna be doing the New Year's Eve fireworks.
I think, one, we'll get it to the net right away. 2, we'll get it posted on the website, on, all the Facebook pages. I think we can do that through Kelly and Suasion.
The MBA.
And then the NBA will put it out, and they'll do a lot of the advertising for us. And, Anna Marie already told me she has no problem, she just needs to know if it's a go or not.
Yeah, you better
So-
tell the library too.
I don't know, I don't know that we'll need, I think if we get it in the, I mean, even the press ran it for us for July 4th, I'm sure they would run it for,
I'm in total agreement with Commissioner Blumberg, the more the merrier.
I will get it out as many places I can, we'll send a press release to 6 ABC, NBC 10, everything, I'll make sure, and I'll keep everybody abreast that we send out press release to all these notifications.
Thank you.
But I like your idea with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
robocall from NORAD.
Yeah.
And we'll come up with
Good.
the parameters and the schedule.
Fred's smiling behind that mask, I know.
Maury, do you have anything else?
No, good.
Yes,
John, you have anything?
I do. I have two quick questions, well, one compliment and one question. First off, Lisa, I gotta applaud you on the electronic beach tags. But I would like to be educated on, you can purchase them online, I get that. There was a slight increase in the cost that the purchaser has to bear. What happens with the senior passes? Do they get mailed, or is it an electronic pass that they get through printing through their computer?
This app, and I could send you more information, I still have to look at the contract because I'm going back and forth with Dave Miller about insurance language in there and the hold harmless. But this Viply app, it began, I believe, in 2016, and, you know, we've been contacted every year, but, you know, we were never in favor of it, we didn't see a need for it, and we kind of wanted it to get up and running with other towns to work out the kinks before we implemented it. So basically, what it is, it's a mobile app, it's no cost to the city.
Okay,
So we're planning on putting the information on our website with all the rest of our beach tag information. And if anybody wants to purchase, you know, a beach badge, they could either click on the link. There's information how they upload the application to their mobile device. They place the order. It goes directly to the Viply organization. They pay with a credit card. There is an additional fee, you know, which is absorbed by Viply and, absorbed by the purchaser to cover Viply's costs. They send the city directly into our bank the fee for the beach badge. Then they present their mobile phone we're gonna have them pick up all the reservations at the pavilion, but they will also be able to purchase badges at the beach with their app, okay?
okay.
Anyway, they're sent like a code, they present it to us, we scan it, we present them with their badges, and
So seniors
that's how
can
we know.
purchase and regular
So
tickets can be
so
purchased?
everyone can purchase, yeah, and of course, the senior badges only are in effect until June 1, like the preseason sales, you know,
right.
so.
Okay.
Yes, but anyone, you would be able to purchase either.
So if you wanted to purchase, say, 5 beach badges for your whole family, you could purchase it through
Yeah,
Visa or whatever the
All
company
different
is.
kinds.
yeah,
And then you could pick it up at the pavilion, your badges?
yes.
Good, I think during COVID, I think that's a good move.
Well, you know what, last year, once like, the green light came on to start selling the badges, I went down, and as
Oh, I
you
know,
know,
I
that
saw.
line was
Yeah,
around the block, and so I went down there to help them sell, it was
Yeah.
overwhelming. So I was like listening to everybody's complaints, basically, or shall I say suggestions. And so I took it under advisement, and working with Andrew Miles, you know, let's improve this next year. If people want credit cards, okay, that's fine.
Right.
As long as, you know, we want to try to like streamline the whole process, make it easier, so
No, I think it's good.
hopefully, yes.
Thank you. And Mayor, lastly, I just want to mention to Roger, I want to let you know, I know we have a 2-year contract with the vending company for the beach ice cream. I want to put it on the record that last year I found them personally to have enough vendors on our beach to satisfy all the needs of all our beachgoers. And I didn't receive one complaint last summer, as we've all heard through the previous half a dozen. So I want to say that the company that's doing it, the Oil Depot, or whatever it's called, they did an outstanding job with all the young men and ladies they put on the beach. And they were every 3 to 4 beaches. They had enough personnel to cover everybody, and kids didn't have to wait.
I'm glad it was a 2-year contract.
And that's why I'm complimenting you, having a 2-year every time we go out for that vending, there's always issues. And it's never settled, but it was a good.
It's always the same issues.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you, John.
That's all I have.
I'm good. At this point, we will open for public comment. You can comment on any of the items that were discussed at this meeting. Is there any public comment?
Is this the main public comment, Mayor?
No, it is not, Mr. Sewell.
It's
We'll-
capital.
We'll talk to you later. Is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll move that motion.
Second.
It's Nanette, Nanette's dog.
Sir Hannah?
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
This meeting is adjourned. We will, no, we have to adjourn the meeting. I'm sorry. Would you motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
We'll take a very short break and then we will go to our regular public meeting.